Yes, I know, another video telling you to print your work and it will change your entire life and you might even win the lottery. But seriously, it is true. Maybe not the lottery part. I'm going to take you through the process of how I made this little book or zine, however you want to look at it. This isn't necessarily a tutorial. It's rather just a look into my thoughts, my process, and hopefully you can use it as some kind of inspiration. One final thing, please stay to the end because I have a small task that I have for you to complete. Yeah, so I recently went to Wales Next to Sea and I was there for just a couple days, so I shot a roll each day. It was a completely new place to me, and I didn't have any specific subject in mind. But yeah, not having any subject matter leads me to my first point, which is just to slow down. This is in relation to kind of the whole process. I often used to think I I can only make like a book or a little zine if I have, a big body of work, and that just isn't true. This just little project that I'd done was just simply out of a couple days shooting, and sure, like none of the photos are out of this world amazing, but it was the fact I had that thought process of, okay, I'm not just gonna let these images sit in contact sheets or sit as scans on my computer. I'm gonna take them and I'm gonna print them and I'm gonna make them into something that not only captures that lovely trip that I went on, but it takes my work and makes it something more than just an image on a screen. Although I did take a trip for this little project, it's not necessary. You just need to find somewhere you love being. It could just be a park, the street, the city centre, wherever it is that kind of pops into your head straight away. Or if you are going on a trip, that's also a good opportunity. Not putting stress on yourself is a great way to enjoy photography and the process of creating a lot more, because if you just make something for fun and for the sake of creating, you're going to enjoy the process a lot more. And especially with photography, don't put stress on yourself to make the most amazing images, because especially in a short time frame, like for example 2 days for me, you're not gonna necessarily shoot some of the most amazing work, especially in a new place. I think you just need to find that kind of small flicker of inspiration and just kind of take it and make something out of it without letting those thoughts of, oh, it's not going to be good or what, like that's something I struggle with. But just do it. For me, one thing that has especially lifted my inspiration is shooting on film. And this isn't, I'm not going into that whole debate because I still love shooting on digital as well. I kind of think I kind of have a healthy balance. But shooting on film, especially when I'm going on a trip, that made the whole experience so much more exciting for me, because I knew I weren't going to see those images until I was home, until I had developed the rolls, and until I'd scanned them and printed them. Especially coming back to slowing down, when you are in this place that you love, or especially if it is a new place that you're exploring, remember to slow down and know that you don't have to shoot everything. I think especially in new places, it can be very much like, oh, wow, everything's awesome. I want to take photos of everything. And I think it's very important to just slow down and allow yourself to be kind of immersed in the space and then begin to take photos. That's what I tried to do with this short little mini project, and I enjoyed the experience a lot more because of it. And again, the important part is that you do enjoy it. Enjoy yourself. Remember, you're doing this for yourself. So once the developing was all done and I let the rolls dry, I then scanned all my uh, all my negatives, and which takes a while, but it's a part of the process. So for me, for this project specifically, the process of sequencing, selecting the images was rather simple because I thought it's a 2-day trip. I'm just gonna keep it chronological, so the sequencing was simple, and I just simply chose the images that I thought were interesting, just the ones I liked the most. But if you don't want to do that, I would just say experiment and print out your images and see them together. I think a big thing is allowing yourself freedom to experiment. And for something that's like a small project, you don't necessarily need to think so deeply about it. At least for me, I didn't. That's why I knew I was going to do it chronological order and just create something and make something that I can look back on. So for printing, the paper I used was just A4 cartridge paper because my images are very gritty, noisy, grainy, whatever you want to describe it, and had quite high contrast. So not only did the texture of the cartridge paper work well with the images, for me personally, I like textured paper. I'm not always a big fan of glossy paper. So it was quite a short process for me figuring that out. And also, it's quite cost efficient. Cartridge paper isn't massively expensive compared to a lot of other more premium papers. Do you want to spend less? You could just use printer paper, classic printer paper. Do you want your prints to have slightly more weight to them? So you might want to branch out and maybe find a thicker paper that has more weight and it feels slightly more premium. It's completely your decision whether you want to spend a bit more money or whether you want to spend a bit less money, like I did, because I knew I was making this myself. I knew it wasn't going to be perfect, so I didn't want to invest loads of money into it. Another point I do want to make is that as long as you can see the images right on the paper, that's all that matters. It doesn't have to be an expensive printer either. If you don't have access to a printer, libraries have printers. There's obviously lots of different shops. Find somewhere that's in your price range and go with that. A lot of printers, especially now, can print pretty good quality images. And again, if you're shooting color, black and white, color makes it obviously a bit more difficult depending on the look you want for the images. So for this little zine book, I done a perfect bind, and I'm not gonna go into like a tutorial because, like I said, that's not what this video is. But there are so many different ways you can bind like paper together, whether it's like a perfect bind where it's paper stacked on top of each other, or whether it's kind of a more classic book where you're folding it together and stapling it or using thread to bind the paper together. I would say just do some research online, see what interests you, see what you feel comfortable with doing, and just go for it. And don't worry about making mistakes. My little book there's already a page in there that's slightly coming off because the glue I used wasn't amazing. But that doesn't matter, for me at least, because I didn't spend loads of money. and even loads of time into it, I'm not worried about it falling apart over time. I mean, it's gonna stay together, but my point is, it doesn't have to be completely perfect. That was my process of how I made this little zine book, whatever you want to call it. And I'm probably repeating myself, but the main point of this video is to hopefully inspire you just to make something physical. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a zine. It could be maybe a series of prints that you keep together from a certain place or trip. But getting those images that you love or that you have recently took and getting them off of the screen and getting them onto paper and making something out of them, because you can see your images in a different way, and that's what's especially helped me, is printing out my images and seeing them in a different light. I really do mean it when I say it will have a positive effect on you, because even for me, this little book I revisit every month, maybe even every few weeks or so, because it's just, I come back and I'm like, I made this. This is cool. I made something out. This is my work that I put the time into, and I made something out of it. And even revisiting it, I know it's not perfect, but it inspires me to print my work again and to make more out of my work. So one final thing I'm gonna leave you with is a little task, a little challenge or task for you to complete, and it's a simple task. So what I want you to do is first find a place you want to shoot. Like I said in the video, just somewhere that comes to your mind straight away, or somewhere you often go, or maybe somewhere you don't often go, and spend, let's say, no longer than a week shooting there. And 2, the second point to the task, remember to slow down, allow yourself to be in that place and be present in that place, and don't worry so much about shooting everything. Just take your time in that place and slow down. And then the final point of the task is to print it and make something physical out of that work that you shot over the week, over the couple of days, it could be one day, make something physical out of that work that you shot in that small space of time. Thank you very much if you've made it this far in the video. I appreciate you. Please do the casual stuff, the normal stuff. Leave a like and subscribe if this video done anything for you. And that's all. Goodbye.